Okay, so we're going to be knocking back into finishing up this submarine. So I think last time we were looking at doing the tail segments. So I'm going to just kind of make like basically like one segment and then repeat it. So grab that cap. Shrink it down. Let's go to our side view. And then I'll throw in some edge loops. We'll do one right here. We'll do one right there and one right there, since we got kind of some little details going in here. Let's go ahead and take that little edge and create this kind of scoop shape. Do a little bevel, add another segment, bring out that fraction. Okay. And put little extra, kind of pull this out. I'm going to take that. Nope. Now what I'm trying to do is grab this one, grab that one, Now let's go ahead and bevel that. So it's giving us some round round surface there. I'm going to have to kind of figure this out on the back end here. Maybe let's take like that. Pull the basket. This one has a little place where it kind of pops out, so I'm going to pull that up. And I think it kind of honestly makes this feel like it's going to fit. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. I know it's smaller in the picture, but I'm going to pull that back. And my idea is I want to take essentially one of these and just kind of duplicate it out. So I got these little fin pieces right here. So I'm going to take, let's do a little multi-cut, and then we can take a take this, I'm going to go ahead and extrude it. Bring it up. And bring it in. And that's going to give us some topology to kind of work with to start on that little spine piece. So I'll bring that like that. Bring that up. This right here is going to go back out. I'm just kind of hitting the extrude tool and the move tool. Take this one and this one, we'll pull that back out a little bit more. I like the little spine piece, but I think maybe I want to go a little bit more dangerous with it. Kind of like a rockfish. They have those like spines that you can step on and will hurt you pretty badly. Let's go ahead and flatten that. Pull that up. So I'm just kind of working with this existing topology to kind of get this to function for me. But we're just using it to kind of reshape and rework what's in here. this one, pull that out. And then if I want to, I could use this kind of as a foundation and then maybe go in and do like a little bit more of an extrusion and build up a little bit more, put a little more shape to it. Yeah, I think I don't need, you know what? Actually, I don't think I need that. I think I can do a multi-cut right here. That'll allow me to put a little bit more shape on this. Kind of pull it in. Pull it up, maybe make that a little bit flatter. So we're kind of flattening out that top a little bit more. And pull that down. So get a little bit of that effect. And there, and I think I want to make it, I think I do want to make it a little bit bigger, so I'm going to take those faces, extrude, and bring it up. And then like right here, it's getting kind of stretched out with these faces. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these faces, one extrude, and then I'm going to pull them out a little bit more. So that's going to give me a little bit of stress relief in here, so we're not pulling these faces and making them essentially non-planar. And again, non-planar means we're taking a quad and kind of like folding it in half, or taking two corners and pulling them together, things like that. So we want to try to avoid that shape. Because the reason why is Maya has a really hard time kind of rendering out quads when we have them in a non-planar configuration. So resolution for that is to fix your modeling. You can also turn that face into a triangle by splitting it. That also can be helpful as well. So we'll go with that. And then we'll take that edge. I'm going to extrude it in. Nope, not that one. Where is it? Let's turn that off. There we go. Grab that one. And then that'll give us a little bit of kind of like the interior lip. So if this thing is rotating around, it kind of looks like it's got, you know, some plating going on in there. And then one thing I do want to do is I'm going to slightly kind of shrink the ends of these just a hair, so we can get that slight conical shape going on. So I'm going to duplicate that, bring that down. And so I think I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-ish. Forward. One, two, three, four, 5. And so kind of the fun thing is we're getting like this repeating kind of feature with this shape here. And so it does have kind of a nice little effect. So honestly, there might be like a little bit extra detail we can add to one of them before we get too far along. So hang on, I'm going to add a little seam here, and then I will duplicate it. So I'm going to bevel that. I'll bring that fraction in. Get 3, get that kind of little seam line there. It's a little smooth, so I want to take this edge and this edge. I want to bevel those, so then I've hit 3, see it gets a little bit harder edge right there. And then if I take these two, I'm kind of bringing them together. Well, let's do this one and this one. If I bring them a little bit closer, like that, you'll see that seam gets a little bit tighter right here, so it feels a little more rigid. Okay, so let's try this again. We'll do a Control D. And actually, let's see if we can make it a little bit easier for ourselves. So I'm going to go ahead, I want to use Duplicate Special. And let's do modify, freeze transformations. Okay, so I'm gonna go I'll snap my pivot right here. I'll duplicate. So that's going to give me a negative 0.419. So I'm looking at values for transformations here. And then I got a 0.869 on the scale X and Y. So I can use that value. So let's do edit, duplicate special. I want to do a scale 0.869, 0.869, and then the translate was on Z, negative 0.419. And this will just keep me from having to do it like 20 times, or at least 6 more times. So let's do 6 more. Let's see how that looks. Oh, that looks nice. Yeah, I'm digging that. That looks cool. Okay. So makes things a little bit easier for us. Smooth them all. Yeah, it looks really pretty. You can see a nice kind of repeating look here, which is cool. A little bit of a skeletal look. Okay, gonna save that real quick, and then what I'm gonna do a cylinder for the end of the tail, which we're getting a little bit long on the tail, but that's okay. The drawings are just kind of our starting point here. They're not the end-all be-all, unless your director tells you. Then you listen to your director, because he's the one paying you. So we'll go ahead and take that length as a reference here. And then I'm going to drop over to my inputs, and I know I'm going to have to kind of conform this piece. I'm going to give myself subdivisions on the height. Let's do maybe 6. I think 6 looks good. Okay, go ahead and kind of blow that up. Okay, I'll take these two, kind of bring them out a little bit more. Then I'll bring this one a little bit. And that one. I think this needs to go a little bit further. So actually, I need to take out that cap. There we go. So I'll just leave that cap right there. I'll just extrude this. So something looks a little bit like that. And then I want to take a plane, and I'm going to copy like this fin shape. But I don't need a, what, a 10 by 10, I think? Yeah. I'll take that all the way down to 0 by 0, or 1 by 1, I guess. So I'll move it over here, and then I'm going to go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees. And I'm going to use it to really just kind of trace out the shape of the fin. And I will give myself a subdivision I'll do a subdivision there. So yeah, there you go. That's pretty good. I'm gonna go a bit bigger. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards that shark motif. And then I can take a multi-cut, go right through here. Pull that. Multi-cut right through there. And then I'll do the little vein right here. And we're going to have that kind of swoop right here. So that's going to be kind of tracing out that line right there. And then we can do like an extrusion if we need to. Okay. I'll take that and a Control E. And I'm going to bring that out right there. I want it to be pretty thin. And then the parts, they're going to be a little bit thicker. Like this section right here. We'll take that piece out too. And up here. Just kind of bring it out just a little bit. See at 3, kind of get that kind of ribbed effect. We'll do multi-cut down here to kind of reinforce it. And I think that kind of works. Let's see, I think I might take this vertex, bring it up a little bit over here. It's not feeling very mirror-y. It's getting, yeah, I need to make sure this is symmetrical. See how it's kind of, the topology is not actually fitting very well. So I'm going to move it, make sure it's kind of going right down the center line right here. I'm going to go to mesh, mirror. There we go. So that's going to copy it over. Just make sure we're not losing anything. Which is really important for these. mechanical shapes. Especially if they're supposed to be symmetrical, you need to make sure that topology is symmetrical. Makes things easier, like UV unwrapping, stuff like that. Pull that forward. And then I got a number of edges right here. They're all kind of in a flat plane. And they're not really doing, I mean, they're just kind of reinforcing that flat edge. I'd rather them kind of internal symmetry, or yeah. I'd like to actually do something. So, why are we not? Alt Y. World X. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so bring that over. Okay, so take that. Bring that over. We got a little bit of a faceting right here because these two edges, yeah, like kind of gets a little bit of an angle. I don't really want that. It needs to be kind of a very pretty swoop. So I'll bring that up, separate these, and when you separate, then we get less of that angle, less of that elbow right here. Pull that over, pull that over. See? Okay, so I'm just kind of creating, again, that arc. Same thing here. I'm not trying to be crazy about it, I don't really want this reinforced flat edge. This is supposed to be kind of a flexible material. It's in the water, it's steering, it's propelling. You know, think about like propellers on boats. You know, they're usually very round shaped. It's kind of what I'm going for. So something like that. Same idea here. Pull it over. Pull it up. And then again, same idea here. Actually, right here, I might do a little extrusion, just very slight extrusion. And here's why. Because maybe I want this kind of rib to like wrap around. Just like that. And then I'll take this one, pull that back. See, something like that. Pull that down. Pull that down. So kind of like that. And the effect is we're just softening that fin. So you can see right here, we're just kind of creating that softer effect. You can see here with that rib, it's a softer, molded, rubbery kind of fin, okay? So we'll say maybe we're happy with that. Let me finish that. I'm gonna finish that vertex right here. So that kind of sharpens up that corner right there. Okay, I'm good with that. I'm gonna stop with that. So right here on the back end, I'm gonna create a somewhat small right here, pull this back a little bit. Extrude that down. So it's like a little place for this to sit into. I'm gonna go ahead and flatten that, and then just bring that back down. And we can bevel that section, give it extra. Okay, so you'll see right there, we kind of got a little place for the fin to sit. So I kind of need like 2 of those. So I'm going to take this one and let's do a mesh mirror, but I'm going to do it on the Y, see if this works. Yeah, okay. It kind of works. All right, we'll bring it up. And then what I want to do is just kind of seam up these vertexes. So I'm going to go to merge vertexes, go to the options, and click apply. Let's go a little bit higher on the 0.1, a little higher on the threshold, and that should snap them all together. Okay. So I'll take this guy, I'm going to let's go back to mesh mirror. And I'm gonna grab the faces. And this is like part of a combined mesh. So we got something like that. And then there we go. And then right here, I'll do a beveled edge. You know what? I don't think I like that. Okay. Let's see what else we can do. So I think I've put in some repellers on the back end, but honestly, I kind of like the idea of like just the tail spinning to be the repeller if it needs to, which kind of simplifies it. What I had in my old one was get a little bit of like a turbine that fit in the back. And so I think I kind of maybe just want to put that back in here as well. So I'm going to extrude and turn off that. Turn off that symmetry. All right, so I'm going to take that and extrude, and then extrude, and then extrude. And then I'll do a fill hole, and then we'll do a extrusion, it's going to look like the back of a jet turbine a little bit. And then I'm going to do my multi-cut, and we're just going to kind of cut across. Sorry if you're hearing voices, my son is home. That one, that's good enough. If I want to soften this, I can take like a soft select, kind of just like bump that out. If you want to. You can also do like a multi-cut. Pull it in, something kind of like that. Okay. So I'm going to grab a cube, and I'm just going to do a really quick little rotor. So I'm going to do, let's see, a couple of edge loops here, do a couple ones just kind of down, because so I can get a nice kind of soft select fall off on this. I'm going to do it. Let's go here, I'll do vertex select, I'm going to grab the end, soft select it again, and then just kind of rotate it a little bit. Just like that. Or you can rotate like that, whatever you want. I'll do Let's see, edit mesh, no, modify, there we go. Freeze transformations. And then I'm going to take that front view. Put that pivot point right here, kind of in the center where it would rotate. Like that. Again, we're going to freeze transformations and edit, duplicate special. I'm going to go back up to edit, reset this tool, and I'm going to do rotations on the Z. Let's do it. Let's see, how many do I need? Let's see if I do Control D and rotate that. That's like 10 degrees. 19 degrees. What do I want? 18 degrees. So 18, yeah, let's do 18. Degrees, but then I need to know the number of copies. Let's bring in my calculator. So 360 degrees divided by 18 degrees, that's 20 degrees, so, or 20 copies. So I've already got one, so I really just need 19. Duplicate special. There we go. Now I got a whole bunch. Pretty cool, pretty easy. I'm gonna throw that right there. I'm gonna turn off my soft select. And I kind of just want like a little something extra right here, just so it kind of hides just a little bit of that. Bevel. Bring that fraction down, give me an extra piece. There we go. So if we hit 3, it kind of looks a little bit nicer. And then this rim right here is a little too round for my taste. So I'm going to go and take multi-cut, give me an edge here, reinforcement loops all over here. Okay, so something kind of like that. And then right here on the end, pull that in. Let's not go too far, let's go in. Let's scale that in. Okay. Kind of just so if we get a little bit of articulation movement in here, we're not kind of losing the whole thing. So I think that's pretty good. I mean, there's a lot more stuff we can add in here. So with the wings, I was talking about having these a little bit articulated. I forgot, I didn't even have this. Let's turn back on symmetry. Okay, there we go. Alright, so let's take that, pull that in there. I'm just kind of editing some of these, kind of where I see them. So I'm going to separate these guys out. I want to make sure they're kind of where I want them to be. Okay, so I'm going to take these. Let's go back under Edit Mesh, Extract. I'll do that one also. That one also. That one also. And then that one also. So now we got individual pieces that we can add detail to. So I'll kind of give you just an example on one of these, because this is going to be something you can do on all of them. Basically, again, just segmenting it out. So we have little kind of places where if we smooth these, that they'll kind of like come together, and then treat them like essentially like just like plates. Put one there. Put like one there. And this guy. Come on. Do the same thing here. So put you right there. Okay. So do that one. And then something like that. And so you'll see like this is like just a little bit bigger than that one. Then do the same thing with that one. To get this really kind of beautiful segmented look. And then when it's smooth it actually kind of feels a little bit more realistic. Okay. A little bit more, maybe not realistic, maybe just more, you know, created, a little bit more metallic. And then we can cut. Let's just go and do all of this. We could do an extraction. And we're kind of sort of breaking this up to where we can work with the individual plates a little bit more. So it's not one contiguous mesh, although a lot of this was kind of one singular piece. But we're kind of just going in. We got the form, and now we're just kind of going to be taking essentially taking it apart and then making it, you know, a little bit more, you know, a little bit more mechanical, a little bit more interesting looking. Let's see. So something like that. Bring it in a little bit there. Kind of put an edge right there. So that kind of gives us, got something weird. I think I got an extra extrusion in here. Okay. Yeah, there we go. That's what it was. Yeah, it didn't get moved down. There we go. Let's go and take reinforcement loop here, put one here, put one here. And then we can kind of add a couple extra edge loops here, and then we can kind of flare things out and shape things a little bit more. So hit 3, so we got that kind of shape going on there. But then maybe I want to take, you know, this section, hit B, and then I can go back in and kind of, you know, mimic a little bit of that shape in here. And then I can take do the same thing. Come on. Why are we not doing? Maya, you're acting weird today, dude. Okay, there we go. Gonna pull it up and over. Maybe even give that like a little swoosh. And then kind of bring that out as well. So this kind of, this whole plate is just kind of like sitting on top. Almost a little bit like a turtle shell, maybe. Or maybe in the front. I don't want it to be quite like that. Kind of sort of looks like a witch's hat from this angle. Okay, well, anyway. So let's maybe look at a hatch. So, and I was kind of thinking of putting a hatch like right here on the shoulder, but maybe I need to put a hatch maybe here on the side somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I could do a cutout with the hatch. So maybe that's what I'll do. I'm going to take, just turn off soft select. Do face select. And I'm going to grab these guys, hit Control E, and I'm going to turn off symmetry. Honestly, the symmetry gets so weird sometimes. I'm going to bring that in, and I'm going to delete it. Because I want to create like a little cutout where that piece is going to go. So I'm going to bring that over here. And we'll turn symmetry back on. And it's just going to kind of go around where my hatch is going to be. Okay. So for the hatch, I'm also kind of thinking about like scale, like how big a person would be for this this to work. So if I put, let's say if I put a hatch here, take out that. Like kind of in relation to this bubble, maybe a person can sit maybe inside of the bubble. And so that would make sense if a person could like crawl out of a tunnel like this tall. That would make sense to me. But also, I don't think I need it to be Don't need it to be that many faces though. So I'm going to take that. Let's pull these down. And then also for the sake of hydrodynamics, also kind of take like this shape. Actually, you know what, let's take, I'm going to kind of make it a little bit more that's going to be where the cap comes out. But this shape right here, we can take this, pull that a little more forward. And then kind of streamline this a little bit, kind of coming back. So I guess like in theory, the water could go around it. So, you know, just a lot of thought about like what's kind of going into it. And then also, let's turn that off. So you see when I turn that off, it changes where my pivot point is. Let's move that back a little bit. And what I'd like to do is go ahead and take, let's see. I'm going to be using a boolean to kind of like attach the hatch section to the main body. So actually I think what I want to do is go ahead and take this hole, I'm going to fill it, and then I'm going to do a multi-cut, just so I can have some extra faces to work with here. I'm going to fill that hole too, and then what I want to do is take this one and this one. I'm going to go to Mesh, Boolean, Union. And you see it'll basically merge them together, but we do have a lot of in-guns in here that I'm going to have to kind of resolve and fix. So let's do a delete all by type history. That'll get rid of that Boolean history. And if I take this guy, put the dorsal fin on its own layer, I can turn it off at least, and then I can go in and clean that up. Sometimes when you're working with booleans, they kind of get a little weird. If this thing turns green, just add a blend to it. There we go, adjusted the color. Alright, so back to here, let's get back to vertexes, delete, merge to center. Come on. There we go. So merge that. Let's take this, merge that over. Come on. Okay, that'll work. All right, so that'll leave us make sure we're kind of keeping an eyeball on any of these extra vertexes in here. But that'll leave us some of these extras that we need to kind of, you know, play around with. So I'm going to take this one, put that one over there. Let's take this one over to here. And I'm just going to bring it into a try right here. This one I'm going to take down to the corner right there. And that should give us a good resolution. Again, I'm keeping this thing fairly, I'm keeping a low resolution, so it's easier for me to kind of fix the bullying right in here. So I want to make sure, you know, that again, that keeps everything a lot more simple. You know, it's good to work with. Okay. And then I'm going to go back over to mirror, make sure everything is nice and mirrored and symmetrical. Do it on the X. Okay, there we go, we're good. Oop, not what I was wanting. Alright, how did that happen? So let's do mirror again. Yeah, that's not what we need. Okay, I'm not going to worry about mirror then. It's going to be a bad result, so I'm not going to do it. Let's turn back on symmetry. And one thing I want to do is I'm going to go and take this edge loop here. Let's do a bevel. Give me a little bit extra on the segments, a little bit less on the fraction. Same thing here. I don't know why that's getting selected. Turn that off. Bevel that. Want to be fairly strong. And then we hit 3. You'll see it's kind of nice and, you know, fixed in there. And then bring that down. Bring that in. Bring it down a little bit more. And then I'm going to go and take that extract. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to take another cylinder, something that's perfectly round. I think we do have, we do have some asymmetry. Okay, let's talk about how to fix asymmetry if you're running into it, okay? So if the mirror function is giving you some wonkiness, what we'll want to do is to basically delete half of the model and then duplicate special it over, okay? What I want to do is I want to make sure I'm just going to kind of straighten up that middle line, and then I'm going to go and take that one of these sides. Let's see. I'm going to delete it. and then I can go under duplicate special, and then basically mirror that over to the other side. And then I can combine them and then merge them. So I'm going to go over to edit, duplicate special. That's going to be a -1 on the X, 0, 1 copy. There you go, see? So now we got a copy, and it's perfectly mirrored over. The only thing is we just got to seam it back up. So I'm going to go and take both of these and go to mesh, combine, and then in most cases you just go in and do merge vertex, merge the center, and you'll just kind of zip it up that way. But this is kind of the old school method, at least the way I learned it back in 2009, of merging these. It's a little tedious, but if you're having trouble with your mesh otherwise, this is kind of how you have to do it. Go in, make sure you hit G to redo the last used tool. Be really careful when you're doing this with these beveled sections, because that can be a little hairy. It can kind of merge areas you don't really want it to merge. Alright, and when you're done, take a look at it, make sure everything looks good. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that gives you an idea of kind of like where I'm going with it. There's a lot of details again. I just don't think I have the time, and honestly, I think you guys are getting the idea of where I'm going with this. Windows, seam lines, just more stuff to kind of make this look more mechanical, but we're keeping, that same kind of spirit of the robot here, of the transportation, the submarine, for people to be able to, go in and ride this thing, which would, kind of be cool. Model things out to make them look as realistic as possible. You saw that I was bringing in references and looking at things to come up with ideas. Stuff like that only serves to make this a better model for you. So not having those types of references is, it just kind of will end up hurting you. So make sure you're looking at things. If you're not sure how something is supposed to look, or if you're not sure what something should look like, Google it. Look it up on the old Google. It does seriously come up and help you with ideas. If you're not sure, email me, and I'm happy to give you some feedback on it, and let you know what can be done better. Okay. So yeah, so work on your project, get it turned in, and I'll take a look. Don't forget to do the turntable and give me a image of your model like this, so I can see your image planes. And yeah, have a good one.